All right, Pouring Nation, today we're going to talk about finishing a huge canvas. This one I have here is a 24 by 36 inch pour that I did a couple weeks ago, and I'm going to finish it with gloss varnish from Liquitex. A lot of you guys asked after I did my how to finish an acrylic pour video, which I'll link above and below, how do I do it for a large canvas? And it's very similar to how you do a small canvas. We're just going to break it up in chunks, but I wanted to give a couple of extra tips. The first tip is if you use a cloth like I am from an old t-shirt, it only lasts a few weeks. After a few weeks, it's going to start, unless it's in a very well-sealed container, it's going to start drying, or it can't even start mildewing. You can kind of see what's happened with this one here. It's kind of getting kind of gross in there. So I only leave these for a couple of weeks. Again, I cut up a t-shirt, so it's not like I'm missing anything. I'm just going to get myself a new one. Now with a new one, it's kind of annoying, especially when you first start out, to get the varnish on it unless you completely drench it in varnish and then wring it out and then start it. So what I like to do, because we're doing lots of layers, is I get a cloth, I wet the cloth and then rinse it out just with regular water, and then I start from a slightly damp cloth, and everything works better. If you have some parts that are dry and some parts that have a lot of varnish on them, it kind of stops. It's kind of like sandpaper on top of the acrylic pour, and it's not smooth when you're doing your circles applying the stuff. So just start out with a damp cloth. Again, there's no dripping water here. I can squeeze it, nothing comes out. It just, I wet it down, got rid of it, and it works great. So to finish a canvas like this, all I'm going to do is break up my whole thing into sections. Sections about the size of your hand. In my case, my hand's about 10 inches, so I'm going to do about 10-inch squares. I'm going to do that, finish, do the next one, finish. On this one, I'm using a gloss varnish, which I have mixed 50% water, 50% varnish, and I'm going to wet my rag, do it here. You don't want any leftover stuff. So if you're getting leftover stuff, you've done too much, and do a little bit more to even that out. If you're getting lots and lots of streaks, you have not put on enough. That's why I like starting with a wet cloth, because that usually only happens right at the beginning. With this application, I do 3 or 4 coats, about an hour in between, and the first coat is it's gonna look like there's stuff everywhere. The second coat, it's gonna start going away. The third coat, it might all be gone, and you could stop there. If you still have some marks, which I'll show you in just a second, then we go on to the fourth coat. So again, I'm just gonna take my cloth, I'm gonna wet it with my gloss varnish and start up. Get here, get a good wet. That's it. Wet it down, go to my next one. I'm going to overlap just slightly, but I don't want to rework if I don't have to. Now I don't have any silicone on this, so I'm not worried about that. And then again, I'm going to overlap maybe 1 or 2 inches here. Because I'm doing multiple applications, I don't have to make sure every application is perfect. I just got to make sure I don't have leftover. I don't want to squish this so paint comes out. And if you overwork, if you work too slow, as the paint or as the varnish from the previous sections dries, it will kind of make it harder to move over that. So that's how you know you've gone too far into the previous. And the edges I just do the same way. So let me just show you. This is after the first run. You can see I have little marks here. There's no ridges of paint or varnish because I didn't put very much on, but you can see the first coat isn't uniform everywhere, which is perfectly fine. That's why we do multiple coats. And you can really only see it when I come into, like you can see a little bit right there. But that's perfectly fine. Second layer, we're going to do the same thing, but go in a different pattern. In this case, I'm going to start here and go this way. I also generally like to change which part of the rag that I'm using, so I'm just going to open it up, use a different side. Another thing, look how little I'm using. It's only getting a teeny tiny bit. You can kind of see it in the water there, or the light there. I don't want a lot because that'll make streaks, and that's the whole point. I'm starting to see little streaks, so I know I have too much stuff, so I'm going to do another round without adding more. Just looking at the finish, I can still see some marks even where the paint isn't wet anymore, so I'm going to have to do one more coat. So it's a little hard to tell on camera, but can you see right here how it's a little bit more glossy? And right here where the gloss kind of changes from here to here? That just means that I am not quite done. There's only a couple of tiny places that do that, so I'm going to do a 5th coat on this particular painting. So now we have a nice uniform, you can kind of see it here, shine everywhere. It's not thick, doesn't have a really plasticky look. I'm going to get in here close also, so those places we saw before that were splotchy, all gone. I can still see the shine, the special shine from the metallic colors. I can still see that the purple is less shiny than the rest because I'm still getting some of that gloss from inside. But overall, that is an easy and effective way to varnish your very large canvases.